This is pretty helpful, actually, though, because this lets us know what we want to do if we want to make things really fancy. Like, someone who does not want much fanciness at all, making it out of the sooty softwood might be a really good idea. Okay, that is not fancy at all. Alright. Good to know. Next up... I don't have enough of these, so I'm going to need to make more. Not sure how many we actually are using. Let's see how many I need. Alright, 93 is what we need. Where were you? Sunset style block. That's just grass fiber, so that's easy to make. Also, the Citadel wall blocks are the same fanciness as the other things, so there is that. Fruity Fiend block. That's just grass fiber. I've got a lot of bark, so I could make some of that. I'll consider that in a moment. Plaster I don't have a whole lot of. It's that's the sea slime shell that I was that I wanted, but I can make, I guess that will do. That uses clay. It's a good thing that I have some of that. And where are these other ones that I... Yeah, there we go. Six will do. Eight will do. Okay. Alright, we have enough of these at the moment. Okay, this is definitely not as, What are you guys doing over here? Jeez. Go play, monsters! I'm busy here. Well, we just want to be with you, Eddie, that's all. Okay, that is minimal fanciness. Just all coming over to see what I'm doing. You need the I built you a toilet, guys. There is a toilet. It is there for you to use. That is kind of creepy, actually. Alright, so these are minimal fanciness. Super cute, but not very fancy. I'm gonna guess that this is even that this is gonna be like the sooty softwood and be no fanciness at all. Oh yeah, that is eliminated the fanciness there. Hey, Rodrigo DS16, welcome back. It's the Hargon missionaries all over again. Okay, so that has no fanciness at all. I'm guessing that this has... These blocks don't seem to have any fanciness either, which is kind of weird because they're kind of nice blocks, I think. I mean, yeah, they're not fancy, but they make a really good flooring, certainly. I mean, who doesn't like hardwood floors, right? Okay, so it's slightly more fancy. It's like the normal fancy, and I forgot to get the wooden floors. Excuse me. There you are. This looks like it's going to be about normal fanciness. Yeah. So that's pretty normal fanciness. I wonder if there's any wood that's actually fancy. There should be. Like the hardwood, I think, should be. Alright, that's basically it. Oh, wait. Actually, I didn't do the floor. Just gotta check. Okay. Doesn't make any difference. This is probably going to be the same thing, not very fancy at all. Watched my first Builders 2 video and other shorter videos about it. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It is a shame how expensive it is, though. Okay, what about this stuff? This is fancy. Okay, so that's a pretty fancy block. That's something to consider, but it's normal. These things are normal rather than cool, which is a shame. Which doesn't help any with the ambiance that we want. You think it's worth the price? We could afford that price, but you think it's appropriate? Yeah, I mean, like, I've gotten a lot of content out of this. I've gotten a lot of content out of this. Alright, so both of those are pretty good. I have so much of this that I'm not going to put it in the thing. Well, I should leave those out. Alright, crazy paving, red brick floors, castle tiles, citadel floors, copper wall, copper floor. So we'll see if any of this stuff counts for more fanciness. Crazy paving. I've got an unlimited supply of this now. A few more of those. Alright, that'll do there. Alright, crazy paving is not as fancy, which does not surprise me. This is also getting us a good view of what the stuff looks like. Don't know what I would do with the crazy paving, to be honest. Might be an okay thing in the... over near the pyramid, though. Alright, the red brick floor actually is not very fancy. Like, it's not as fancy as the actual, red brick walls. Which seems weird. I mean, I guess the idea is that you wouldn't make, a whole building out of it, although you kinda could. I mean, they... can make for some interesting corner looks. Do not know. Okay, unfortunately this is normal. No, it's cool. Okay, I have an idea. Yes, we could do the wall out of the colored tiles. Okay. That would work. That's a good idea. There's a very green cheese look to it. It's also pretty fancy, which is weird. How is this fancy? Like, I don't get it. I feel like that should not be fancy. Alright, the copper is not very fancy. Hey, Trauma Turtle. Today you're buying it on Steam? I kind of wish that they had announced that it was coming out for Steam when, early on, but oh well. Yeah, the copper is not very fancy. Copper flooring, I'm guessing, is not going to be very fancy either. It is not. It seemed like normal was getting bigger, but whatever. Alright, so that's not very fancy. Silver is very fancy. Oh yeah, silver is super fancy. Look at those numbers go up. Wow, 2.5 just from that. You have a feeling that fanciness is a product of rarity plus crafting complexity? There is that, but there is definitely an element of fanciness to it that, like silver, yeah, it's a lot harder to get early on and crumble done, but I mean, we've got an unlimited supply now, and I'm sure that gold is going to be even fancier, but yeah, so silver is pretty good. Let's see about the sooty silver. It looks like it's going to be about the same. Actually, silver walls with sooty silver floors is kind of nice. Kind of like that contrast there. Yeah, so that's about the same. Like, I would expect that that this would be a little bit fancier, but it's not. But silver gold blocks are still a two-stage craft. That's true. That is true. Yeah, alright, so that is the same amount. Let's put those away. I'm definitely not going to use that, so I don't care. But I'll keep those out for now. Alright, let's make some of the vault stuff. Do the gold blocks as a reference point? Yeah, I'm going to get to them in a moment. I cannot make the mossy ones. So let me put those away. And let's get these. I've got unlimited gold now, so it's not that big of a deal. Yep. Gold is definitely fancier. Yeah, that's 3 stars all on its own, which is pretty impressive. See, like, I would kind of expect that these blocks would be fancier. I mean, even though they don't take anymore, but mainly because their build is fancier. I mean, they're golden tiles, as opposed to just gold bricks. Don't forget to rebuild your animal shelters. Oh yeah, I will. Look at that fanciness come down. Just plummeting. Now, I kind of like these as actual pavement tiles, though. Whoops. Might have to keep that in mind. Yeah, these are not fancy. Like, there's zip fanciness on that. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to change the walls in the item shop, because this is no fanciness. Like, these are no, like... Yeah, I gotta change the walls in there. Alright. It's good to know now. Kind of surprised, honestly. I mean... masonry. But I think that the dyed castle tile, or the dyed castle tiles, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think those might be the key. They're not super fancy, but they are fancy. Yeah, masonry is not fancy at all. Mud brick wall, I doubt will be. Those are all natural blocks. I'm gonna try that. I'm tempted. I'm curious about that. Let's see. I need to make some golemite. It's crazy paving. The old man is dying. Still couldn't find the toilet. There is a toilet. I don't know why he can't find it. Okay, so the mud brick wall, is fancier slightly than the masonry. It's mud brick. Did I put light sources back in the bathrooms? Bathrooms don't need light sources, so no, I did not. Alright, it looks like golemite is just normal fanciness. I kind of like the look of it, though. I'm going to have to make some buildings out of that, I think. Okay, what about this? It is flamboyant. It is not fancy. No appreciable change to fanciness. And that is not fancy at all. Alright. Kind of what I expected, the normal blocks not fancy. Alright, so what do we have that we have not tried out? I'm guessing that the lumber is not going to be very fancy, so I'm not even going to bother trying. Actually, I did make some other blocks that I have not tried. Plaster, concrete. We could do scales. It's a natural block, so I don't think it's going to make it any fancier, but... Alright, that requires paper, but we got a good supply of it. So we'll make some. Polka dot block, chalk and oil. We got plenty of this. No, I don't think I had to put them in. I was just putting them in. Because I just assumed that they needed it. I'll probably have to delete some of these blocks. Just because I'm going to have too many blocks. At least these only take grass fiber. Am I sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I'll show you. Rooms. Toilet. Pot. Towel. Wooden toilet, towel. Public toilet, wooden toilet, towel, folding screen. Yeah, they don't need lights. I mean, even the well-stocked bar doesn't. I mean, lights are good in that they, causes the ghosts to run away. But that's not all that necessary right now. This would make a nice ceiling. That is a pretty nice block for a ceiling. It is very white. It is. I'm sure it can be dyed, though. The concrete is fancier than some of the other blocks that we've seen. Okay, scales are not fancy at all. I saw that go down. Oh! Oh! This is fancy. Look at those numbers go up. I think this is silver scale fancy. Kind of don't like it, but that is really fancy and really flamboyant. If you ever want to blind someone, them's the blocks to do so. Okay, this polka dot is nowhere near as fancy. Those scales are really fancy. I don't think they needed cotton, did they? Okay, so this is, I mean, it's still fairly fancy. Okay, the seaside scenic block is, not gonna do it. The polka dot block should not be fancy. That is, it's kind of ugly, honestly. Seriously, how is a polka dot fancier? It's ugly. Okay, and that is just normal fanciness. Or minimal fanciness. As is this. This is definitely the kind of thing that you would do on a, like a 2-block thick wall. Why is there a WWE D block? I don't know what you mean. Oh, weed block. Well, I mean, it's just, a wallpaper, basically. Like, that's the idea behind this. It's not very fancy at all. But the polka dot block and the scale block, especially the scale block, those are pretty fancy. Let's take a look. It's because it requires paper, I bet. All of these require grass fiber. That requires chalk and oil. I bet these will be pretty fancy. I'm gonna make a minimal amount. Hawaiian shirt wall's gone wrong. This is going to cut into my supply of cotton, but it's worth it to experiment. Stripey wall. Why don't the monsters attack you? Those are my monsters. They're friends. I've recruited them. I've set it so that there aren't any monsters around here right now. Which kind of reinforces your theory of how fanciness is calculated. I mean, I agree with you to an extent, but I also kind of think that it's... each block is fixed as opposed to stuff going into them. I mean, well, I don't know. I guess we could test it by, like, I mean, why would oil and chalk be considered fancy, though? Unless it's just considering that it's 2 blocks. Test that. We'll test it with the birch. But also, I mean, let's see, where was it? Like, this wood floorboard requires wood, and it's just zip, 0, nothing at all. Whereas, you know, like, this has a slight little bit of fanciness, but then the sooty softwood, which takes 2 blocks, but one of those is spoiled soil, that eliminates it. I mean, I suppose it could be a thing where the spoiled soil has a negative modifier. I don't know. Where was... Is there something else that requires something weird, isn't there? I'll look later. I mean, I think the numbers are hard-coded into the blocks. That requires umber. Slimy wall. Yeah, see, these require cotton, and they're not increasing fanciness at all. You're not disagreeing with that aspect? You think you're thinking of the calculation of how the dems... Ah, okay. Fair enough. But yeah, like, I mean, I would expect that to be kind of fancy just from the fact that it requires cotton. Like, cotton is still... Like, the fact that I do not have an unlimited supply of cotton is really, really bugging me. Because there are so many good things that you can make with cotton. Yeah, all this stuff is not very fancy. It's actually a shame. Like, it'd be really nice if this were fancy. Oh well. Alright, so this is cool. Alright. Not very fancy. Kind of a shame, really. And a lot of this stuff is really normal, too, which is also a shame. Definitely the kind of thing that I would only want as, like, a single wall or something like that, not for an entire room. You definitely need to break up these patterns. Yeah, that just completely destroys the fanciness. Chintzy block. It's pretty cute, though. So any cute room that doesn't need to be very fancy would definitely work well with this pattern. Or as a border runner, a single line on an otherwise plain wall. Yeah, that could be a good idea, too. This is really thin masonry. Not very fancy, though. Also, very, very, tan or peach or something like that. Okay, this is fancy. Interesting. What is that? Stucco wall block. Huh. Slimy tiles, not very fancy. Okay. Nothing else was fancy. Alright, what else do we have? You know, I'm going to try this. See how fancy that comes out. And we'll also use this. I know I got tons of it around. Alright, see you, Seal and Mortar. Thanks for stopping by. I'm probably going to be wrapping this up pretty soon as well. I didn't even look to see what that needed. It needs basalt. Kind of tempted to make the fancy carpet just to see how fancy it gets. It would be good to know. Well, we'll check it later. Woven straw. Anything that uses basic material I can probably delete after this. But I might just store it. I don't know. Classy cross block. All of these require cotton, and I'm not trusting them to really give me much. Granite floor might be interesting. If nothing else, this will be a good how-to for those wondering what kind of ambiance is. Well, it says what the ambiance is. It's more like, how does it actually end up looking? Like, seeing the little picture of the block doesn't really tell you how it's going to look when you make a floor out of it or something like that. And I do like doing that. Maybe I'll come back for those other cotton blocks, but we shall see.